start over. Okay, guys, welcome to Tea with Mike, episode number 25. Today's tea fact of the day is tea was discovered in 2737 BC by Chinese Emperor Shen Ning. Tea leaves just accidentally blew into his pot of boiling water, and this was how tea was born. That comes from swanstonvitamins.com. And so welcome to the show, Josh. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good, thanks. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
No problem. So what did you think of the tea fact of the day?
Well, it's very interesting, like, to have that happen just by fate almost, and tea is born. That's kind of awesome.
It's also crazy to think how popular tea is as a beverage, both in tea and alcoholic terms, how it's become more popular over time.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's your favorite type of tea and why?
My favorite type of tea, I kind of have two. Peppermint is my go-to on cold days, especially in the winter, obviously. And chamomile is my go-to when I'm sick, because it's usually got some form of honey in it, and that's good for your throat. So yeah, those two are definitely my go-tos. But I'm open to others. I definitely have dabbled in several different types of tea.
Nice. Are you more of a tea fan or a coffee fan, if you were choosing between the two?
Oh, tea for sure. I can't drink coffee because of my medical condition. So.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
At least we've got an alternative.
Tea is good. I'm happy with tea. I like coffee flavored things, but in terms of actually drinking it, no.
I honestly don't think I'm ever gonna like coffee. So I was at work the other day and went to Starbucks to get English breakfast tea. And then my coworker got coffee. We put them down in the office, and then we come back to them like a few minutes later, and I accidentally pick up the coffee and start drinking it. And 30 seconds later, there's like an instant kickback, and I start spinning it out, and I'm like. So I'm just not destined for coffee. Anyway, so do you want to tell the Tea with Mike audience a little bit about you and all the cool stuff that you do, both in your job and outside of your job?
Sure. So I'm 30 years old. I'm a reporter, news and sports reporter at Rdnewsnow and Big 105 and 106.7 The Drive radio here in Red Deer. And I cover every different beat from City Hall to sports and the Red Deer Rebels and politics and crime, and it's a pretty fun career. I'm from Vancouver, wearing my Canucks hat tonight. Got to represent.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm a big hockey fan. Tea is definitely something I enjoy drinking, but I also am pretty into beer, craft beer. I also have a family. I have a wife and a 4-year-old daughter. So lots of family. I spend lots of time with my family.
Your life must be very, very, very busy.
Oh, yeah. That's probably an understatement. Some days it's a little much, but it's the life I chose. So I roll with it.
Nice. So I'm really intrigued to go back to the beginning. So how did you kind of get started in media and journalism?
So it was, so I graduated high school in 2007, and then in about 2008 and 2009, I started doing these YouTube videos, actually, kind of like what you're doing now, a little bit.
Cool.
I started doing these videos for the Canucks, and they were actually going to Canucks.com.
Oh, wow.
And I was going to school for political science, and it kind of wasn't working out like I had hoped. And I took a year off to just work and think about my options. But in the meantime, I was doing these videos, And at one point I said to myself that I really felt like I wanted to go back to school, but I didn't know for what. And my mother actually, she knew I was doing these videos. So she said, well, you're you're pretty successful with these videos. Why don't you, there's this broadcasting school in Vancouver that's been around for 50 years almost.
Cool.
Why don't you try your hand out at that? So I did. And here I am 8 years later as a professional broadcaster journalist. So it worked out.
Nice. So how many years of school did you do for it?
Well, actually, the program was only 10 months.
Oh wow,
So it was a really,
quick.
yeah, it was, yeah, definitely not your typical 4-year degree or anything like that. It was, you're in and you're out, and they give you the training, something new every day. And then at the end of it, you got to go find a job, and it could be anywhere. It's certainly not going to be in a big market like a Vancouver or Calgary or Edmonton. You gotta, like I did, you typically have to go to a small market, a small town to begin with, and then work your way up. And so I came to Red Deer in 2015, from a little town in BC that I was working in the interior there. And yeah, so I've been here in Red Deer for 4.5 years with Rdnewsnow and Big 105 on the Drive, and I love it.
Nice. So, obviously, as part of your job, you deal with all different walks of life and the beat, as you were saying. So, how important is the community when it comes to local news and media, especially in a town like Red Deer and the smaller central Alberta towns versus some of the bigger cities?
So your question is, how important is community?
Yeah, when it comes to local news.
Well, I mean, we definitely, our focus is local news, and there are enough bigger media outlets in Calgary and Edmonton to cover, everything that's covering, or everything that's happening rather, in those big cities. So, with our focus on local news, it's really important that we get out to, talk to citizens and the residents of Red Deer to hear their stories, positive or negative or otherwise. And yeah, local is definitely, I mean, it's right in our, it's one of our keywords. We're local, credible, now. So local is right in our messaging, our marketing. So, and I meet new people I'm not just saying this, it's not an exaggeration. I meet a new person every single day in this job. And, the people are what make up the community, and everybody has a different story. So it's important to, be consistent in telling all those people's different stories, and, telling about what makes Red Deer the city that it is, for better or for worse.
So what's the favorite part of your job?
Well, I mean, definitely the meeting the different people is a really neat part of it. You know, I mean, it's really cool that there's something new every day. It's not monotonous. It's not boring. It's never dull. And that's a cliche, but it's true. It's really never dull in this job, and each day is a different story on a different subject matter. Some days I'm covering city council. Another day I'm hosting the Red Deer Rebels radio broadcast, and it's different every day. That's probably my favorite part of the job.
Nice, man. So obviously it's unpredictable, it's exciting, it's different. So when you're not working, because you work in media and you're always connected to technology and news, is it hard to switch off?
Do you mind repeating that for me?
Yeah, no, it's fine. Is it hard to like kind of switch off when you're not working?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like and you can ask any of my coworkers or my family, and they'll tell you I'm connected pretty much 24/7 to, what's going on. And sometimes that's not a good thing because it's good to be able to switch off and, just take a breather from your work life. But yeah, I'm pretty connected to the pulse of what's going on in Red Deer, and in a lot of ways that is a good thing, because that makes my job, that makes me better at my job, that makes my job easier, because I'm I'm connected. I have people telling me what's going on, and it kind of sometimes saves me a little bit of work.
Nice. What are some of like future goals for you in the world of journalism and media? Where do you want to end up?
Well, if you'd asked me 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, I would have said I want to be back in my hometown in Vancouver. My dream job would be, to cover the Vancouver Canucks, on TV or on radio. But, that's a pretty lofty goal. And I would have to make a few leaps and bounds to get to that point from where I am right now. And having a family kind of changes your goals too. So it's a little bit up in the air right now what my future goals are. But I think if I was to, make the assumption that I'm going to be here in Red Deer for the indefinite future, my goal in that context would be to just continue to find new stories, to find new people to tell their stories, and to tell stories that are fresh and intriguing, and not just rehashed stuff from year after year, telling the same things, and I just published or sorry, pardon me, sorry for stumbling.
It's okay.
We published a story over the weekend about Graysen Cameron, who was one of the survivors from the Humboldt Broncos bus crash. And he's from Olds, just south of Red Deer here, and he coached the Red Deer midget hockey team this past season, which is a team that he played for before he was with the Broncos in Humboldt. And he's going back to try out for the Broncos in his 20-year-old year. It's his final year of eligibility, and to be able to find and tell those kind of stories that really impact people on a emotional level, those are the kind of stories that really make, those are the stories that drive you. You want to find those kinds of stories because they're going to make people think, about what their lives really mean, how quickly their lives can change, just like Graysen Cameron's life did. He was lucky to survive, obviously, and his story is a great one. And I was actually talking to him earlier today, and I told him, as much as it was a privilege to write about his story, about going back, I almost wish I didn't have to write his story, because I wouldn't be if it weren't for this incredible tragedy. But I told him, even when these tragedies happen, you got to, society has to react to it the best that they can. And he acknowledged to me that, there's good that can come from tragedies. If people can be inspired by these kinds of stories, then he's people like him are happy to share their story, knowing that it'll help somebody. So it's really, to go back to your question about what my long-term goals are, again, it's to find those stories that really hit people hard and can actually, change a person's life.
I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty powerful piece of journalism, because I did read the story and I did feel like impacted, like for sure. And I was like,
thanks for reading.
It's okay. No, it just really taught me that you don't know what's gonna happen in 2 hours, 6 hours, and you should make the best of what you have and
exactly
and keep living life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? Like they're sitting on the bus, they're going up to play a playoff game on the road.
Yeah, big game. Yeah.
In a blink of an eye, their lives are all, 29 lives are directly changed forever. And that's not counting all their families and friends. That's just the 16 that passed and the 13 that were severely injured. And it happened literally in the blink of an eye. And that's why you got to live life in the moment and enjoy every second that you have.
Not good. So what does a typical day look like for you when you get into the office? Do you have a routine or some?
Well, there's a bit of a routine, but like I was saying, it's kind of different every day. Like there's different events or different stories that you have to cover. So you go in at 8:30 and you have a little bit of a meeting with your colleagues and discuss what you're doing for the day, and then go about your business. Sometimes you end up sitting in the office all day, at your computer writing away, or making phone calls, or sometimes you're out most of the day at two or three different community events or press conferences or whatever. And so yeah, it's pretty different. And I mean, some days I start at 8:30 and work till 5. Some days I start at noon and work till 9 p.m.
Yeah, so I was about to ask you like what sort of hours you work. So it really just fluctuates depending on what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Saturdays are a good example because in the winter it's Rebels, and in the summer, right now the thing that's happening on Saturdays is football games with the Central Alberta Buccaneers. So those are every couple weekends down at Great Chief Park here in Red Deer, and so that's kind of some Saturdays are you start at 10 and you go till 6. Sometimes it's you start at noon and you go in the evening to the football game and write a story after and go to bed.
So what sort of stuff do you do when you're not at work? Like when you're not thinking about the world of media? Do you watch a lot of hockey?
Yeah, when it's on, obviously. Like right now, obviously it's not on, but I mean, there's of course the draft in the summer and free agency, but I do watch a lot of TV, and again, whether that's a good or a bad thing, we could debate that, but I do watch a lot of TV. I'm on the internet quite a bit, and I watch wrestling, and I try to keep up with my other Vancouver sports teams, the Lions and the Whitecaps, from time to time. I spend a lot. I read. I'm reading a book right now by Stephen King. He's my favorite author. I just finished a book by him, and the next day I started a new one. So I'm really into his work, and the book I'm reading right now is The Stand, which is from 1978. I've read about a dozen of his books, so I absolutely love his stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what I get up to. I mean, and then you can talk about the family time. Try to get outdoors with my daughter as much as possible and spend time with my family. So it's really hectic in our household for sure.
Who's the most inspirational person that you've met in the world of media and journalism?
Like a person that works in journalism, you mean?
Sure, however you want to interpret the question.
Well, I mean, I hope you don't take this as a cop-out, but I just met Graysen. I can go back to Graysen Cameron so easily.
That's cool.
He is, that story is it's easily the biggest story I'll probably do this year. And it's, if I had to think about it just off the top of my head, it's probably the biggest story I've done in my life, in my career. So, and it was such a privilege to write that story, because of his, what he is a part of now. He is definitely the most, I have to say, it's top three. He's in the top three of most inspirational people I've met. I've met, if another one that comes to mind is Tammy Cunnington, who is a Paralympian from Red Deer. She is a swimmer, and she became a paraplegic when she was young. I hope she didn't. If she ends up watching this, I hope she's not mad at me. But I actually can't remember if she's a paraplegic or a quadriplegic. But she was injured at an air show in Pinoca when she was young, and she's gone on to compete in the Paralympics and the Pan Am Games, and so I've met her a few times. I've met Paul Henderson, who of course scored the winning goal in the 1972 Summit Series, Canada versus Russia hockey, and that was a thrill. I've definitely met a few people that I'm very privileged to have met. So, but yeah, those three actually are probably right up there.
Nice.
What kind of tea are you drinking, by the way?
What type of tea am I drinking? The English breakfast tea right now.
Nice. Can I share? Can I share something? Can I share what I'm drinking?
Yes, go for it.
So I'm drinking troubled tea from Troubled Monk.
Oh, nice, good.
Have you tried it?
I have not tried it. Should I?
Yes. Well, Troubled Monk is awesome, and I don't work for them. I have no connection with them. I get no benefit from saying this. So full disclosure, but obviously they're a local business, and their beer and their troubled tea is very good.
This is quite funny because the one other episode, the Troubled Monk, was mentioned on the show. It was the episode with Troy Gillard.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, no kidding.
Small world.
So now I will for sure go try it out. So what do you? I kind of in the second part of the show I always spice it up. What do you want to know about me?
I know that. So I actually do know that you were, and I hope I'm not wrong on this, but you were taking business at the Donald School of Business, correct?
Well, I was taking media and communications at Red Deer College, but on your point, I was I took a marketing research class at the Donald School of Business, and I know you're kind of friends with Paul Figure.
Yes.
But yeah.
You guys in the same class together?
Yeah, we were in the same class. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you want to do with your education?
So I want to get a job in marketing and media and communications. So that's one of my goals. Goal 2 is over time to turn Teawithmike into a global show. That's goal 2. And then I guess goal 3 is just kind of live life, hang out with friends, family, find that perfect person, travel the world.
Are you going to Edmonton?
I like Edmonton as a city, so I'm always looking for opportunities in that area and applying as jobs come up. So yeah.
Wow, where did you grow up, and tell me about that?
So I grew up in the United Kingdom. So I lived in England for the first 17 years of my life. I moved to Canada when I was 17. All the way back in 2013. So I've been in Canada for 6 years, all in Red Deer. Yeah.
One of the things I've kind of been focusing on lately is about why people love Red Deer or like Red Deer. What's your favorite part about Red Deer?
For me, my favorite part about Red Deer, even though some people probably don't think this, is there's still a lot of there's a lot of people with a lot of cool stories to tell. There's a lot of interesting people that that have come from all over the world or have lived in central Alberta for a long time. But the coolest part is you can, and it's like kind of anyone. There's always one thing that you can connect with someone else, regardless of your like background or like where you're from. There's always that one common connection, and that's the coolest thing, trying to find that one common connection.
It is a diverse city, isn't it? And that's a good thing, which I think more people need to realize that that diversity is a good thing.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people in a lot of different walks of life. Back when I worked in audiovisual, I did some work with Central Alberta Refugee Effort when they put on Journeys of Hope in town, and I met a lot of cool people with cool stories from all the way around the world, and it was kind of inspiring because sometimes you don't realize kind of how like fortunate you are, and in what life circumstances is thrown at you, and then the days when you want to complain, you just really have to remember how grateful some people are just to be able to like live somewhere where it's not a war zone like every single day of the year, right? And you
Exactly.
can walk down the street, so.
Yep. You couldn't have said it any better. And Central Alberta Refugee Effort is a great organization. They do a lot of good things. So, yeah. Which part of England are you from?
Northern England. So
Northern England.
Yeah, so I used to live near a town called Richmond, North Yorkshire. Very famous for a lot of historical stuff, Richmond Castle, and there's an old Georgian theatre, which was first built in like I think it's 1798.
Are you a football fan at all?
Football is in the English version, absolutely. I'm a Manchester City fan.
Nice.
So I'm actually super excited. Hopefully the World Cup 2026 is coming to Edmonton.
That's right. Yeah.
So I'm definitely I don't care who's playing. It'd be nice if it was someone like a big team, but regardless, I'll definitely make sure I get tickets for the game.
You'd pay the big bucks to go see the World Cup?
I would. I'll be saving from now until 2026 just to make sure I can get a ticket.
Yeah, you probably will have to.
No, because I think Edmonton we'll see like just how crazy like football fans actually are, and they're gonna come from like all over the globe to support their team, and that's cool. They're gonna bring their instruments and they're gonna bring their voice, and it's gonna be loud. It's gonna be good.
They did do pretty well with the Women's World Cup a few years back, so I think once the games are announced for Edmonton, I think they'll do pretty well. You mentioned the instruments, and so do you remember watching the World Cup in 2010 when it was in South Africa?
Yeah, a little bit, yes.
So do you recall they had everybody in the crowd had these things called vuvuzelas?
Yes, yeah.
So I have one of those.
No way, really?
I bought it on from a street vendor on Commercial in downtown Vancouver.
That's so cool.
During the World Cup, and I still have it, but it's not very much fun to blow because like I don't know about anybody else, but like when I blow balloons or I have to blow through this vuvuzela thing, it hurts my cheeks on the inside. But it's kind of a cool thing to have. And I'm not gonna ever get rid of it because it's just a collectible now.
Have you seen many football games?
In person, you mean? Like live? Unfortunately, no. I have been to a couple of Vancouver Whitecaps games. I was at the first Vancouver Whitecaps game in MLS in 2011 when they were still playing at Empire Field before BC Place was finished being renovated, and they won 4-2 against Toronto FC. So that was pretty cool, and I've been to a couple games since at BC Place, but that was a few years back before I moved out here to Red Deer. So it's been a while, and the Whitecaps aren't very good right now. So they're a little hard to watch right now. But yeah, football is, and I've been to a few hockey games, obviously, Canucks games. I mean, now I'm not counting the Rebels, but the Whitecaps when they're good, when they're playing well, the atmosphere in a Whitecaps game is much better than at a Canucks or at any NHL game. The atmosphere is way better at a soccer game.
I tell
So
people this, but they don't believe me, obviously, because they've never seen a game But I can guarantee if they went to a game, they would agree with me. That
yep, it's the supporters of football teams. They just the rowdiness of them and the dedication. Like you can't match it at a hockey game or an American football game or anything. Soccer is the world's number one sport, right? So there's the most fans, the most dedicated fans, and even for look at Leicester that won the Premier League was that 2 or 3 years back, and
yeah, you got it.
they were like what, $1 billion to 1 to win it.
Yeah, that's correct.
They still got all those fans, even though they were a terrible team before that. So soccer, definitely the fans are the most committed, I think.
You just made my day by saying that sentence.
Well, yeah. So, why did you? One question I'm curious, and I followed your starting up of this show, and it's awesome. I think. I hope that you find every success with it that you want. And like, what was the inspiration for you to start the show?
Okay, so the inspirations that I've interacted with a lot of different people, both in life and in my places of employment, and it really was capped by I was working at one job, and these kids came up to the window, so thinking that they're gonna want to buy some tickets to an event, and they're both 5 years old, so they should be running around having fun playing outside. And both 5-year-olds walk up to me, and I'm like, "Hey, how can I help you?" And they're like, "What's the Wi-Fi password?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't even know the Wi-Fi password." But I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "Oh, it's so sad that these kids so young and like so immersed in like the digital and the technology." And so it really got me thinking that technology and digital is awesome, but we've really, and I'm a big fan of it too, but we've really lost like that kind of conversation, that face-to-face interaction. That's those cool storytelling moments, which you mentioned earlier, is one of the favorite part of what you do for a living. So those reasons combined with, in my head, I've always wanted to do something with the reasons why I started Teawithmike.
What's the craziest type of tea that you've ever tried?
I'm so boring and original on the tea front because it's the one thing that I turn to like when I'm stressed or just want to chill. It's how one of those things that I want it to be a home run like every single time. So I kind of just stick to the same types of tea, but at the back of my head, maybe I should expand my roster of tea as the show progresses.
It's always good to dabble. Do you put? I feel like probably I don't know if every person asks you this, so I hope this isn't a boring question. But like, what do you put in your tea?
So most of the time, I just drink my tea like strong and black, without any milk or just a tiny bit of milk. When I'm ill, or once in a while, or like when I first started on tea, I used to make really weak cups of tea, and they used to put lots of sugar in it to make it like quite sweet. But then as I've got older, the tea's just become stronger, and I got rid of the sugar. I've never put honey in my tea.
Never?
Never.
Well, it's good if you're sick. If you've lost your voice, honey is That should be your go-to.
It's funny. I should have actually tried it the other day because I did nearly lose my voice the other day after the first day at Western Days.
Oh yeah. Next time. The one that there was one I tried a couple years back, and I had gotten a big packet of it, so actually still have some, but it's like this it's a pumpkin spice chai tea. It's loose leaf, so you got to put it in a bag and with a spoon or whatever, but it's pretty good. I know a lot of people kind of make fun of the pumpkin spice trend or whatever, but this tea is really good. I think it's from David's Tea, which not the one at the Red Deer Mall, but from a mall in BC. But it's pretty good. Right around the fall,
Yeah.
pumpkin spice tea. Two thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Oh yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah, I do like my tea.
That's good. Me too. That's part of the reason why I started Tea with Mike, and it's also a fitting story that I'm from England, and it fits in culturally too.
Oh, well, absolutely. And let me ask you another question. So you mentioned technology, and this is a little bit outside the box, but you mentioned technology. So are you familiar with Back to the Future?
No, but you can fill me in for sure.
So the movie Back to the Future, it takes place in 1985, but then they jump forward in part 2 to 2015 in the second movie of the trilogy. And in the movie, which came out back in the 80s, I think it was the 80s, when they depict 2015, it's flying cars and hoverboards and all this crazy stuff. When you mention technology, and we think about, we're now almost at 2020, 20 years, 2 decades into the new millennium, and we don't have any kind of stuff like that. Where do you think, we kind of, yesterday I was reading about Elon Musk, and he's got this, they're trying to install this Hyperloop thing down in California. And then there's actually a company which was exploring a Hyperloop system from Calgary to Edmonton, which would go past Red Deer. So where do you think technology is going, in the next 10, 15 years? Do you think we're going to see things like flying cars? How do you think video, things like YouTube are going to evolve in the next 15 years?
Good. That's a really good question. I don't. If I was, I might as well take my stab at future glory and be like, first heard here on Tea with Mike. I don't think we'll see flying cars and that sort of thing in the immediate future, but I do think we'll see a development of for like voice technology. I think that's going to come a long way. Maybe eventually we might see it in future house designs and stuff in the future. So you'll literally be able to go open the door and the door will like open for you and stuff, or like open the fridge, get me 3 beers from the shelf, and it's literally gonna like give it to you. So I think we may see some more like automation that way. I think we're still a little bit away from flying cars and that sort of stuff.
Well, that's one of the things I'm really interested in telling stories about, in the future, assuming I'm still in this field in 20 years from now, telling the stories about how technology is evolving is definitely something that will be top of mind. And we've seen it at Red Deer College. Recently they installed the biggest solar panel installation in the country at any post-secondary institution. And the folks who are on the cutting edge of technology and those kinds of things, whether it's to do with renewable energy or computers or whatever, flying cars, like those are the kinds of stories that will kind of shape the landscape, I think, over the next 15-20 years, because how technology evolves will dictate how humans evolve.
Move.
And I think that's really intriguing.
Nice. That was good.
Yeah. Anything else on your mind? Like, what do you do in your spare time besides Teawithmike?
Well, that takes up a good portion of time because there's a lot of work behind the scenes. But apart from that, just hanging out with people like face to face, my friends. I was with my friends the other day, and we went to the court and we shot some basketball. I don't play basketball, but it was still fun nonetheless. And that's those things. Just living life. I'm still young. I'm only 23, so. Just having fun.
Well, what was the last movie that you saw?
Now you see, I don't watch many movies because I have to find movies that are entertaining for me, because I used to work in audio visual and the entertainment scene, like where I was running shows and like it's super pressured, it's adrenaline rushing. So when I watch something, it has to be like fast paced. But my favorite movie of the last few years is The Greatest Showman.
I have to say I haven't seen that.
That's okay. I haven't seen Back to the Future, so that's okay too.
Touche.
Yeah, so anything I watch on TV and movies just has to be really like action packed, fast paced. Like it's got to have often dramatic, bunch of song and music. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen have you followed the Avengers phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
No, like I don't watch that many movies. Of course, I've seen Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, all those ones.
Those are,
but not many of the like these other superhero stuff. I've seen Batman, but that's old now.
which, the old Batman, like with Michael Keaton?
Maybe not that far back, but at least since Ben Affleck. Is that long ago?
Well, there's been so many different Batmans, it's hard to keep track of them all.
But I first started watching Batman and Robin like at my grandma's house when I was probably like 4, 5, 6. So I don't know.
That was Batman Returns with Batman and Robin. Well, at least, yeah. If it was around when you were that age, it would have been Batman Returns with the Riddler, and that was Val Kilmer and Chris O'Donnell and Jim Carrey, and Tommy Lee was Two-Face. So
yeah, because I used to watch them on video. So
on VHS, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sticking in the TV, yeah.
Seems like so long ago.
It's crazy to think it was still in my lifetime, and I used to have a like analog radio where you used to like turn the button to the frequency and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, totally. Do you listen to much radio?
I listen to Big 105 every day as I drive to work. Jamie and Alyssa go.
That's Big morning. Yeah, there you go.
Kind of. I watch a bit of like YouTube, watch some entrepreneurial stuff, and I listen to my own show once in a while because that's cool too.
Of course. What do you think? And I don't mean any specific show, like not specifically Jamie and Alyssa, but what could what could folks in radio do differently? Like if you could change one thing about radio, what would it be?
They should do like one-offs when they have people that live in the community come in and like co-host shows. or like a guest on the show for the day. I think that would be like super cool.
I could get behind that. Yeah, I think actually, I'm not sure how long ago it was that he did it last, but Fui, who does the 2 to 6 show on the Drive, he had done that a few times in the past where I'm not sure, he might have even done it as a contest, and a person, the winner, who got to come in and co-host for a day. Uh, so it's been done, but something like that on a regular basis might be fun.
I think it should definitely be a competition in the future because I want to enter.
I could see that. I could see that. Yeah.
So I think that'd be and that would be a cool thing for some of the local radio stations.
Nice. Have you been back to England much, like since you moved here?
No, I haven't been back since I moved here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my family's actually away right now in England and Ireland and Italy, and so I'm hoping to go back maybe next year before my grandparents get too old and forget who I am.
Are you able to keep in touch with them?
Yeah, we Skype once in a while, email. I should get out the old telephone and give them a ring, but I haven't.
If they know how to use Skype, then that's great.
No, they do know how to use Skype.
That's good.
But I think that's the problem. Sometimes you have to make sure you make time for your family because life's so like crazy busy. And if you don't make time and you're just like, oh, so busy, maybe another day, you'll be amazed about how much time flies by.
Absolutely. Yeah. It really does. Like, I can't even believe that it's already the middle of July. I feel like 2019 just started yesterday.
Yeah. And the years seem to get quicker like every single year, not slower.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then just the weird weather that we've been having.
Oh, well, the weather this summer has been a bit depressing. And today it was blazing hot, 30 degrees here, right here. And I pulled the pool out for my daughter, and I was gonna do it like around lunchtime, but then I went to take it out, and it was like, I am not staying outside. There's no shade. It's way too hot.
Yeah.
You almost got to wait till like 7 or 8 o'clock.
At night, yeah.
The shade moves in, and it's still hot. It's still 26 degrees out there. So, and we're complaining either way. It's either too cold, too hot.
Yeah. I don't think there is a perfect weather, is there?
I like about 20 degrees
20
and
degrees?
sunshine. That's about perfect, but 30 is too much.
Nice, man. I've run out of tea.
That's no good.
I know.
Need to create like a tea refill machine that you can just like voice activated. Pour me a tea, brings you a tea.
The Teawithmike refill voice activation machine.
Trademark that.
I'm gonna write that down. That's how Teawithmike started because I wrote an idea on a piece of paper.
Now you got to go on Dragon's Den and pitch that, and make you a multimillionaire.
That is one of my favorite shows. I do watch Shark Tank religiously to learn about what the sharks think of people's business ideas, what they like, what they don't like, and even how the people communicate and their pitch to the sharks and how they take it to, right? All that communication side.
Yeah, totally. It's pretty wild what some of the things people come up with, but
That's another cool thing that I like about the sharks. Yep, all of them started from zero, so
That's true. Yeah, you gotta. It is neat to be self-made. That's a feather in your cap. As opposed to someone who, you know, was handed everything on a silver platter, right?
That's true. Got anything else?
That I want to ask about you.
Sure.
Um, what's your favorite quote?
Ooh.
I have one. I think this would be. I'm not sure if you're getting towards the end of the show, but maybe this would be a good way to end it. Both of us
Sure.
sharing our favorite quotes.
Sure. Go.
I have one. I'll let you think of yours. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. So I'll just give a little bit of a backstory behind how I first learned this quote. So between 2006 and 2010, I was a member of an organization called the British Columbia Youth Parliament. And I'm still kind of involved with them at a bit of an arm's reach length as an alumni, but I was an actual member back then. And one of the one of the favorite quotes of a lot of the members, and this is an organization that's been around for almost 90. Well, actually, this year was the 90th anniversary. So a lot of people have gone by this quote for a long time, and it's say what you mean what you say, and do what you said you would do. So it's stay true to your word, and stay committed to what you say that you're going to do, and follow through on what you promise people, and don't cop out, don't bail, and be honest, say what you mean and mean what you say. It's about being truthful to people and to yourself, and do what you said you would do. If you say you're going to do something, don't fail and let it pass by. Do it.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
good. So I've thought about it. It might not necessarily be my favorite quote, but it is definitely something that resonates with me. Similar to your quote in a lot of ways, and it's don't put off what you can do don't put off what you can do tomorrow, what you can do today. That's right, hey? Yeah. So that's my favorite quote.
That's self-explanatory.
Nice. So thanks for being on the show, Josh.
My pleasure.
It was really great to get this set up. I'll be posting this soon for people to watch when I've edited it and done what I do. And thanks again, man.
Cheers, man. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thanks, guys, for watching. Make sure you check out this video.